It looks like Nissan just beat Toyota at their own game. I'll include a link to the Nissan and Salt Lake's website in the description down below. They're providing us with the Armada. If you have any questions and need any help, just ask for Paul. I'll also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get right into it. The Armada is powered by a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 that goes through a 9-speed automatic. It puts out 425 horsepower and then 516 pound-feet of torque. Fuel economy with this averages 16 miles per gallon. Now this Lexus is the 300 series Land Cruiser, and it is powered by a hybrid twin-turbo 3.4-liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed. Now it puts out 457 horsepower, 583 pound-feet of torque, and when it comes to fuel economy, so far I've been averaging close to 17 miles per gallon, so a little bit more than what you get in the Armada. We are closing in on 500,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help me out with that. Sadly, we do not get the Toyota version of the 300 series, but we do get the Lexus version, which means we have the massive Lexus front end. It comes with quite a bit of equipment, but that does mean that the front approach angle, even in this highest ride height setting, not all that great. It's less than 30 degrees. Nissan, on the other hand, offers the Armada and the Infiniti sibling, the QX80 here in the US. The QX80 doesn't have an off-road version, but this Armada obviously does with the Pro-4X. Now they actually have some protection hanging down a little bit lower behind the tow hooks there, but you can see the front end overall is much more aggressive with the approach angle. And surprisingly, in the highest ride height setting, both of these actually sit at a pretty similar height, and they have similar clearances as well, about over 10 inches with both. Now I do have aftermarket tires and wheels on the Lexus at this point, but with both of these you can fit 33s without a lift, without rubbing and all of that. And funny enough, they both have these running boards, which are not great for off-roading, great for getting in and out of the car though. Now I've got the front ends lined up pretty well, and you can see the wheelbase difference. The Lexus has a 112-inch wheelbase, whereas the Armada has a 121-inch wheelbase. And the reason for that is the difference in size. So the Lexus is about 200 inches in length. The Sequoia, that is another Toyota SUV, is closer in size to the Armada at 209 inches. The Armada is 209 inches in length. So this is a full size, like full size versus a kind of full size with the other one. Now on the back of the Armada, you've got these buttons to raise and lower the suspension for these seats. And we have a third row. Not only do we have a third row, but because we have no hybrid battery and independent rear suspension, we actually have decent space behind the third row here. And when you fold down these seats, things actually fold flat across. So the packaging on this compared to the Sequoia, and you guys will see compared to the LX, significantly better. Now I got this LX without the third row because the third row is pointless. It just sits really high and it makes the whole cargo area completely useless. And then those seats do not fold down perfectly flat. Basically that part of the load floor is a little bit lower than the actual seat itself. And you guys have seen the rear of the Sequoia. It is not any better than this, just a bigger vehicle. This week's giveaway is huge if you are a NASCAR fan. Dream Giveaway is working with the King Richard Petty to offer a fully custom wide-body Hellcat Charger. It produces 885 horsepower. It's got wheels, it's got an exhaust, it's got custom leather seats. It really does have everything. Not only can you win this car, but it will come with $25,000 in cash to help pay for the taxes, and your donation goes to help children's and veterans charities. Use code BHC or click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment. This will give you 4x bonus entries with any donation, $25 or more. Now being a full size, got great legroom here in the second row, little storage pocket. Got our own climate zone in the back, heated seats. This one has the bench seat, so this is actually usable for another passenger. And I love the kind of orange accent and everything on the door panel. Now, although the third row isn't as good as something like a Tahoe, it does have 3 seats, and it's much better than the Sequoia and much better than a 3-row LX, especially a hybrid 3-row LX. Now in the back of the LX, you can see I've got quite a bit less space, and having the solid axle and everything does kind of push things up a bit. But yeah, I got a little storage pocket. I have heated and ventilated seats here in the back. And although this is not as stylized on the door panel, the material use and the build quality is much better than the Nissan, even compared to the QX80, and that's one of the things you get with the Lexus. And the seats are a little bit fancier, but yeah, definitely less space. Now let's quickly compare front end features. So we got blind spot monitoring, of course. We got memory seats with this, the mirrors, power fold in, and believe it or not, you actually get acoustic glass up front. You do not get it on those back windows though. 1444 for the payload capacity on this, and then you can see Pro-4X there on the front seat. Again, more nice trim. It's powered just with lumbar support. More of that orange accenting throughout. You got pedals on the back of the steering wheel too. We of course have a big digital gauge cluster, and then it's all one unit with this screen for the infotainment system, camera system, and all of that. And then the big thing, this is full-time four-wheel drive. It has a rear locking differential, and you've got a bunch of different drive modes for on-road and off-road use. And again, you've got that adjustable air suspension. So not only does this have independent rear suspension, it also has air suspension and a full-time four-wheel drive system. The new Sequoia doesn't have any of that, and that's kind of what makes this less comparable to the Sequoia and kind of more comparable to the LX in certain ways. We got like a phone charging pad, looks like trailer brake controls, got a giant center console here, more nice trim on that. Got a camera rear view mirror, panoramic center. I mean, this thing's loaded up. Don't have enough space to open up the doors much, but anyways, blind spot monitoring, we've got memory seats, and again, like I said, the build quality material just feels nicer. Payload in this is less, 1,190 pounds. And the seats themselves here are quite a bit more comfortable than the Nissan, but the Nissan's still really good. Everything's gonna be kind of darker with the theme. You don't have like bright orange throughout the interior, but yeah, nice trim in the steering wheel, paddle shifters, digital gauge cluster, but it's split up with the infotainment system, but then that's also split up with another screen. If you get the Sequoia, you get just like one giant unit. And I'll try to get a Sequoia versus Armada comparison sometime. But anyways, this has Toyota's famous multi-terrain select. It also has their crawl control system. But the big thing with this is it has a front and a rear locking differential. So that makes it a little bit different. But yeah, this is a full-time four-wheel drive system. You also have a center locker, of course. Phone charging pad. This is actually a cool box, so that's a nice feature. And then yeah, the tech is similar. You've got the camera rear view mirror, just a regular sunroof with this, no panoramic. Now this LX stickered for about $117K. If you get a Sequoia TRD Pro, you're looking at a bit over $80,000 for the average MSRP. This Armada Pro-4X stickers for just over $82,000. So again, it's more similar in price to the Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro because that's what it directly competes against. But equipment-wise, it has a lot more than that Sequoia. Let's take these out and see which one performs the best. The Armada first, and then we will do the LX second. I'm just getting the air suspension and go back to the normal height. So here's what I'll say. Surprisingly, I thought the hydraulic was going to be quicker to like raise and lower. I didn't time them, but it felt like they were pretty similar in terms of their raising and lowering speed. So I think that's pretty impressive. Air suspension is usually not that quick, especially, I mean, hydraulic I will say is like super quick to lower, like very, very quick. But the raising is not too different. Now, this is so interesting. Like, Nissan doesn't exactly have like the best reputation right now, which I think is a shame because they have honestly made their lineup significantly better than it used to be. All the CVT cars, or most of them, they now have an Xtronic CVT in it, and that CVT has actually been shown to be reliable. So like all the CVT issues they have aren't, from what my understanding, aren't a thing anymore. And then you look at their larger SUV offerings. The Pathfinder is a good 3-row with a V6. The if you look at the Frontier, right, that's an amazing midsize pickup truck with a V6. And then you look at this new Armada, and it just, from a spec perspective, it blows the Sequoia out of the water. It has, you know, close to the same amount of power as the Sequoia, but no hybrid, and it doesn't have a solid rear axle, which, yeah, you can say, oh, it's not gonna be as good off-road, right? It's not gonna have as much articulation, but that means that you have a usable SUV in terms of the rear cargo space and seats and everything. Like, everything folds flat, and that means that on road it rides better than the Sequoia. The Sequoia feels very truck-like with that solid rear axle and lack of air suspension. This, with the air suspension and independent suspension, is a lot more comfortable. So the packaging on this is just, it's so much better. And again, I do want to compare this directly against a Sequoia TRD Pro at some point. I don't know how I'm going to do it. It's hard enough to find one of them, let alone get them both together. The only reason why I was able to get this comparison is because I bought that LX. But man, this thing drives nice. Again, you got acoustic glass up front, so it's nice and insulated. The seats are comfortable. Like, they're very, like, compared to this actually, I can tell you, it has more comfortable seats than the Sequoia, and then compared to the LX, the LX is a little bit more comfortable, but these are really good seats. Like, just to tell you guys how much I like this Armada, my wife hates screens. Like, she hates this stuff. I'm still gonna show this to her to like get her opinion on it, because I just think it's a good car. And Nissan's got a good traction control system, just like Toyota. And it doesn't have the front diff lock like the Lexus, but for most off-roading that people are doing, you don't need that front diff lock. And the thing is, this is a big enough vehicle that you're not really going to do rock crawling with this. Maybe some crazy person is going to, but like, if I'm going to do rock crawling, I don't want a vehicle that's 210 inches that has a 121-inch wheelbase, right? I want something that is like 190 inches with it, 118-inch wheelbase, aka a Wrangler, right? So big difference. But let's get a little acceleration here. Smooth V6 power, man. Smooth delivery. And you know, V6s always kind of taper off towards the top end, which is just how the powertrain performs. But the low end on this is great too. It's got tons of torque. This thing drives really well. Now it is still body on frame SUV, so you still get a little bit of that body on frame shudder. You're gonna get that always. You have to go to unibody if you don't want that. But yeah, this is the Patrol. This is Nissan's Land Cruiser, and that's why I'm comparing to, you know, Toyota's only real Land Cruiser in the US market. So with the Nissan, before we pop into that Lexus, we get a bigger vehicle, we still have height adjustable suspension, we still have a good traction control system, and we actually have better angles. Oh, when you're actually off-road, because this is a bigger vehicle, those are probably going to feel pretty similar on the trail in terms of going like clearances and everything, because this has better angles, but that is a shorter wheelbase vehicle, shorter vehicle overall. So let's go pop into the Lexus and see if it drives that much better than the Armada. Let's set off in the Lexus Land Cruiser that has significantly worse packaging. I love how much it's listening to me. I love how much, stop it. I love how much crap I talk on this car that I bought, but you guys know I do like a lot of elements of this car, but I also bought this for channel content, right? I'm doing a long-term high mileage test on Toyota's new V6 that's been problematic. And you know, the reason why I picked this over the other cars, and I did look at the Armada PRO-4X, believe it or not, just came down to the size of the car. I didn't want like a full-size SUV for me to drive on a daily basis. And then also the front locking diff. I actually do a lot of off-roading that requires, I shouldn't say requires, that a front locking diff makes the off-roading a lot better. So yeah, this is more insulated. It has double pane windows front and rear, and it's a smaller cabin. And they just use thicker materials all throughout. So I mean, this is a heavy vehicle, but yeah, it just means that it's got a quieter cabin. It's more insulated overall. Like I said, the seats are a bit more comfortable, but the seats are actually smaller. The Nissan seats are a little bit wider. So if you're a bigger person, then like right now I'm about 215. If you're bigger, wider than me, then the Nissan seats are going to be more comfortable for you. Now, hydraulic versus air suspension. Toyota says the hydraulic suspension is supposed to be more reliable long term, so that is a benefit there. The biggest benefit that I see for the user, other than potential reliability, is just the comfort. So with hydraulic suspension, whether you have it high or low, you always get full compression, full travel. Other than if you have it at the very lowest setting, then I guess not. But the point I'm trying to make is it's just more comfortable on-road and off-road. That being said, this still has a solid rear axle, and so does the Sequoia, so that kind of, it depends on the terrain. If you're going over like bigger bumps, this is going to be a little bit better with the compression compared to the Armada. But over the little stuff like this, the back end on this kind of, you know, because you have the solid axle kind of working a little bit, it's not bad. It's not bad. There is a bit less body and frame shudder with this, but the Sequoia is about the same as the Armada, so it's not really a benefit there. So in summary, I've been mentioning the Sequoia a bunch, and like I said, I'll get a side-by-side when I can, but I do think the Armada is objectively better than the Sequoia. And when you even compare it to this, that is not technically a direct competitor, but has a lot of similarities and all of that, the Armada holds up really well against it. It really does. What Nissan's done is quite impressive. And so here's my offer to you guys. I can't make it work right now because I've obviously invested a ton of money into this long-term test, but I'm gonna be I've taken on one sponsor for the channel. I might be taking on another if I can get enough from the sponsorships. And this isn't like a ad to tell you to go and buy stuff from the sponsors. Like, get it if you want it. If you don't get it. But if I can get enough from that where I can get another car on the channel, I'll do it, so I can do a long-term test on the Armada. That's actually something that I've been thinking about for quite some time, is doing that, because I think a lot of people are wondering, you know, with everything that's happening with Nissan, like, should you buy one, should you not? And I think I like to try stuff that's struggling. That's why I picked this car, because the powertrain's been struggling. And so yeah, we'll see if I can make that work down the road. Let me know which one you like the best, but I'm actually going to give, even though I own this Lexus, I'm going to give the win to the Nissan because of the value that it offers, the equipment that it offers. Like, when you're just looking at dollar for equipment, the Nissan definitely, it just takes it.